Lyrical Lemonade has been notorious for putting artists on and significantly growing their audiences. I'm sure plenty of people first experience iconic songs like Lucid Dreams, Betrayed, Ransom, Red Roses, What's Poppin', Catch Me Outside, and many more while watching a Lyrical Lemonade music video. The Lyrical Lemonade YouTube channel used to be the place to go to find new talent accompanied with an entertaining music video, but that just doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So it got me thinking, does Lyrical Lemonade still influence hip-hop? I also saw a comment on a newer music video channel saying that Lyrical Lemonade doesn't really put on new artists and they've mostly been focusing on mainstream artists. And honestly, that was like the main inspiration behind this video. So you're probably thinking, what do you mean by influence? So let me explain. Getting a Lyrical Lemonade music video was an artist's claim to fame. It helped significantly boost many artists' careers. Genius stated some interesting statistics from before and after artists receiving a Lyrical Lemonade music video. For example, here are Lil Pump's Genius page views before a Lyrical Lemonade video and after, or Lil Xan's before and after, or Lil Tecca's before and after. I know Genius page views is an odd metric, but it does serve its purpose. And if that wasn't enough, there's even something that people refer to as the Lyrical Lemonade effect. A YouTuber named Marvelous Beats made a video explaining this Lyrical Lemonade effect, and he used Lil Sky's Red Roses music video as an example.
We can clearly see a drastic change in not only his Instagram followers, but also his followers across all his other platforms.
So I think it is pretty evident that Cole Bennett and Lyrical Lemonade have had quite the impact on hip-hop. Plenty of other people also think the same thing. Comments like Cole is the reason Ransom went #1 on Spotify. Cole Bennett has given a lot of new age rappers a career, and even without Cole Bennett, trap music wouldn't be the same. I'm not so sure about that one. But comments like this are not so uncommon in the hip-hop community. So now that we understand what I mean by influence, let's look into whether or not Lyrical Lemonade is still putting on for the underground. I looked at a lot of Lyrical Lemonade videos from 2019, 2020, and 2021, and compared how many of the videos were for underground artists and for how many were mainstream artists. And I know it's a very blurred line, so I'll tell you what I qualified for mainstream as I did this. For example, Polo G, Lil Uzi Vert, Ski Mask with Slump God, and other artists of that caliber were considered mainstream. People like Glaive, Cochise, Young Bands, and artists like that I consider not mainstream. So basically, if you're not a huge artist, I didn't consider you mainstream. And if I wasn't sure, I just gave Lyrical Lemonade the benefit of the doubt and consider them not mainstream. So in 2019, 18 of the videos were for mainstream artists and 10 were for not mainstream artists. In 2020, 21 of the videos were for mainstream artists and only 6 were for not mainstream artists. And in 2021, 13 of the videos were for mainstream artists and 7 were for not mainstream artists. It seems like the past few years, the majority was mainstream, although 2020 was heavily mainstream leaning. It seems like Cole last year though was mixing it up a little bit in comparison to the other years. However, I think the last time that Lyrical Lemonade put out an iconic video that really put an artist on the map was in January of 2020 with the What's Poppin' video for Jack Harlow. So many people found Jack Harlow from that music video and that song, and he's still sticking around today. You could argue that videos like Knock Knock with So Fago, Calabasas with SSG Kobe, and Revenge with Snot were pretty iconic and aided in putting those artists on the map, but nothing like what happened with Jack Harlow. So what does all of this information even mean? Well, Lyrical Lemonade has been working with more mainstream artists recently, which isn't a bad thing by any means. It just isn't the hub to find new talent all the time like it used to be, at least in terms of music videos. So other music video channels have been swooping in to take that spot. But as my janky data shows, they still work with a decent amount of smaller artists, so you can still find new talent here and there. And just because they may not work with as many small artists now doesn't mean that there is any lack of influence. Lyrical Lemonade could literally find an artist with 2 monthly listeners, make a music video for them, and blow them up overnight if they wanted to. However, that just doesn't seem to be the main focus right now, especially when it comes to visuals, but they have been influencing in other ways. Another question I had is how you made it this far and have not subscribed yet, but we'll save that topic for another video. Lyrical Lemonade is still very tapped into the underground. One thing I've noticed is that Lyrical Lemonade's blog covers all of the best artists in the underground from every different scene. If you still want to tap in and find new artists, that is a really great way to do it. The blog covers pretty much every artist you could think of in the underground. Lyrical Lemonade also hosts the Summer Smash, which is one of the coolest festivals I've seen. The lineups are also stacked with large artists, Lyrical Lemonade fan favorite artists, and a lot of up and coming artists too. They also do interviews, merch, and a lot more for the community. So to answer the main question of this video, yes, Lyrical Lemonade does still influence hip-hop. They've just gone about it in a different way recently than they had before. The music videos are still amazing, especially the new iPhone ones. They've just been working with larger artists recently, throwing in some smaller artists here and there. Although it's been a while since Lyrical Lemonade has given an artist a super iconic music video to jumpstart their career, it could happen again at any time. I love Lyrical Lemonade and I'm heavily inspired by Cole. Even though a lot of the recent videos have been for larger artists, they aren't any less amazing. For example, the Nardo Wick Who Wants Smoke one, that was like one of the most large-scale videos I've seen them do, and it was really cool. Lyrical Lemonade is one of the best platforms in hip-hop, and their influence is very widespread. Just because they're working with a mix of mainstream and underground artists doesn't mean their influence is any less, and I'm super excited to see what they have coming in the future.